Hello everyone, welcome back to Glossy Philosophy. Today we are going to do this makeup look, really emphasizing some of Lisa Eldridge's lip products that I talked about last week, and we're also going to be focusing on using this amazing MAC palette that I've put together. Everything will be linked below. I hope you enjoy the look and keep watching. Today we're going to start with a blank canvas. I've just put on all my skincare, which we will talk about in another video, and now I'm ready to start putting on my makeup. So the first things that I like to do are my primers. I don't use a face primer because I don't feel like they really do very much. Now let me just explain. So I have dry combo skin, more on the dry side. I'm 36 years old, so I don't really have any acne anymore unless I have like a hormone imbalance going on because of either like a pregnancy or that time of the month, something like that. So I only use an eyeshadow primer. All of the products are going to be linked on a bar, and they're under the video, and they're also going to be linked down in the information, just so that I don't have to stop the flow of what's going on. But that was from NARS. So that's the only primer that I use, and that's the only one I've been using for 12 years. And now I'm going to go in with a black gel pencil, and I'm going to line the inner upper lid. So I'm going to lift up my eyelid, and I'm just going to go very quickly back and forth, and almost little dashes, but they're all connected. And I'm going to line that. And this makes a huge difference. It makes it look like your lashes are quite a bit thicker than they actually are, which is lovely. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my base. Because today I've just done a video on Lisa Eldridge's lip products, and I've done a blog post which I will also link below, and I know that the focus of my look today is going to be on her lip products. Now the lip I've chosen is called Rose Official, which is a beautiful rose color, but it is a little bit more pigmented than maybe I would not necessarily normally go with. And then I'm going to go in with her Gloss Beauty. And again, both of these layered on top give definitely their own look. So I want to support that by going more natural in the eyes and just having a nice clean canvas. So now I'm going to go in with the MAC Corrector Palette. This is in the fair, or the light number, yeah, in the light. So I'm going to go in with this peachy color just a little bit under my eyes. My under eye area isn't too dark today. And I'm just going to use my ring finger and pat that. I'm also going to bring that into this area right here. Pretty much all of us have a little bit of a shadow right there because of veins that run in that area underneath the skin. The skin around your eye is quite a bit thinner, so you really want to be gentle with this eye area. When I worked at Sephora, they always said use your ring finger because it is the weakest finger that you have. And I'm just going to blend that out. I always wondered though, because I play piano, not professionally, but this finger is supposed to be as strong as the other fingers. So if you are an instrumentalist, just keep that in mind. Basically just really light touches, really light taps. You're barely touching the skin. Now I'm going to go in with my concealer. My concealer is from ARMANI, and honestly you guys, this is just like the bomb. It is the best. It is the best concealer. It is light. So if you really need like a heavy duty concealer, then it's no good. But if you need like a medium to a light concealer, it is just incredible. And I find that if I have to take photos at the end of the day, or if I need to touch up, it just goes on so beautifully on top. I can just put it right on top of what I have on already, even if I have powder and whatever. Obviously using a really light hand and a light application if I'm doing that. I'm using a really fluffy brush. The fluffier your brush, the less product you're going to be putting on the skin, and the lighter the application is going to be. Now I'm going to go in with my foundation. This is also from Armani. This is the Luminous Silk. And my friends, it is worth all the hype. If you can find your right shade, it's beautiful. I know it's really expensive, but it's worth it. It is totally, totally, totally worth it. A few years ago I read that there were several movie actresses who wouldn't allow their makeup artists to use anything else on screen because it just blends seamlessly into the skin. And I always like to put it on the back of my hand, use the back of my hand as a palette. I find that if I just go straight onto the skin, or if I do, well, I would never pump foundation onto the skin. That's, I don't know. That was like a social media trend that happened a while ago. But if I pick it up with my brush from my hand, I'm going to waste a lot of product. What you want to do is put it on the skin first. Wherever you put it on the skin is where you're going to get the most coverage. So I always like to do it in the center of the face, because especially if I've just done my skincare, some of the chemicals that are in there are going to kind of bring out a high color on my cheek area. And look, that's one pump and I still have so much left. So now, after a really nice light application, I just go in again anywhere where I need maybe a little bit more coverage. Also keeping in mind that especially around the cheek area, I'm going to probably be putting blush. So we want to neutralize, but we don't want to cover the skin. Especially if we're taking really good care of it. Great makeup application comes from great skincare and taking care of your body and taking care of your skin. And then at the end, then I do pick up whatever is left on my hand and just really, really lightly bring it down on my neck. Especially if I'm going to be taking photos. Now if I was doing a bride or if I was on a movie set or something, I would also get the ears. But I would probably go in with more of a concealer because there's a lot of times when ears turn red, which can be very distracting to a movie audience. So there's a little movie tip for you. Alright, our base is done. And now, before I go in with the lip, I'm going to do my brows. And I'm probably going to powder as well. So I'm going to use some MAC shades. I'm going to go in with Omega, and I'm also going to go in with Concrete. Now, Concrete is a cooler brown. I am in the middle of transitioning my hair from a 4, which is a really, really dark, it's not black, but it's quite dark. And right now my roots are about an 8, so there's a lot of color. There's a lot of color going on in my hair right now. Which means that I don't really necessarily, I'm seeing my colorist kind of every 6 to 8 weeks to just generally, or to gradually lighten my hair. And I don't go through eye pencil products that quickly. So I'm going to blend the two colors because I do still have some very dark areas and I've got my lighter areas. So I'm going to put Omega eyeshadow through the beginning of my brows. And I always start at the base of the brow and pull it up. You want to start at the base because that's where our brow is naturally a little bit darker. I also don't like to start right at the beginning because sometimes I am a little heavy-handed and then I end up looking quite angry. So about right where, if I'm looking straight ahead, my iris is, that's where I want to start the dark. A lot of makeup is just kind of paying attention to where things land when you're looking straight forward. So like where are your irises, where are your pupils when you're looking straight forward. That's kind of the middle point of this part of the face. And then of course you have your nose and your mouth, which help with that side too. That's just to kind of keep it symmetrical and balanced. And I have quite a bit of hair. Like I said, I'm 36, I have quite a bit of hair left. So it's really just kind of coloring it in to mesh with my hair. Now here's a tip for my dark brunettes, my 4s, my 5s, and my 6s. Normally I would say you want to pick a color that really matches with your hair color. But when you get quite dark, if you have really, really dark brows, that can definitely be the look. But you could also end up looking a little angry. So just keep that in mind, kind of play around with it. And the nice thing again about powder, doing powder application in your brows, if you have enough brow hair to do that, is that you can really play with it. Like if I had gone overboard, I can just take a spoolie, brush right through, and that will help a lot. So we're going to bounce the brush on the skin, and then we're going to blend out the edges. As I said in my blog post, you can definitely build this highlighter up where your highlighter kind of goes all the way to the moon if that's the look that you're going for. I like something a little bit more subtle, which is kind of why I went with Lisa Eldridge in the first place. Alright, now let's move on to the main event of the beauty look today. So this is Rose Official. Okay. As you can see, once this goes on, now this and my brows are kind of competing a little bit. So we are going to build the look around the lips. So we're going to take down the brows just a little bit by adding some powder to the eye area to kind of diffuse that whole situation. And I'm also going to add a little bit of color to the face. Just a little bit. So now I'm going to go in with a little bit of blush from NATASHA DENONA. I'm going to combine those two colors. I'm going to tap right on the apple of my cheek. And I always like to tap first, and then I can do some swipes. Now sometimes, depending on where you are with your brush cleaning, this probably feels like a little bit too much, and I would agree. So now I'm going to go back in with my foundation brush with maybe just a slight little bit of foundation. I'm going to put that on my brush, and I'm going to put that right on top. And if you think about it, I only powdered this and through the very center of my face. So I'm not really doing anything crazy to move the makeup around. A lot of the key with longevity with makeup is basically like don't touch it once it's on the skin, right? So don't touch your face. And that's also why we're doing lots of tapping motions, because once a product goes on the skin, it doesn't become a part of your skin. It's sitting on top. But if we push it just really lightly, or even with a powder puff when you're doing your powder, that is really going to help everything stay. And I'm pretty much going to go against everything I just said with doing the bronzer. So there are always exceptions to the rule. This is the NATASHA DENONA bronzer. And I have an incredibly lovely fluffy brush from BK Beauty. I will also link all the brushes below if they still exist. Some of these I've had, oh my goodness, for a very, very long time. If you take care of your brushes, they will be with you forever. Not forever, but for a very long time. Especially now that most of the makeup brushes are synthetic. So I'm not contouring. I'm definitely doing more of a bronze. I'm doing like a bronze contour. And I'm basically adding shadow in a 3 and an E around my face. That is the very basic way to do bronzer. And I'm just going to bring a little bit down here too. And a little bit on my nose and a little bit on my chin. Alright, now we are ready for the eyes. So I'm going to go in with another BK Beauty brush. I'm going to go in with Omega, and I'm probably going to mix it in with a little bit of this medium cool brown. I'm going to put that all over the lid, and then I'm going to take up whatever else I have into the crease. So I'm going to start on the outer part of the eye, gently sweep it on the lid, and then bring it up into the crease. I want the outer part of my eye to be darker and the inner part of my eye to be lighter. So again, that's where I'm putting everything. I'm then going to go in with my bronzer again, and I think I'm going to go with a pointed crease brush. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put it more on the side of my brush to add just a little bit of warmth. The great thing about using bronzer as an eyeshadow is that now you've put the same color on your skin in 2 places, and it just makes everything come together. You can, I mean, the bronzer could honestly be the only eyeshadow that you use, and you can use 2 different densities of brushes, and that is a beautiful look. That is definitely something I've done many times, especially on a vacation when, you know, maybe you just don't have as much time to do your makeup, or you don't want to spend as much time doing your makeup. One of those. And just really nice and light. Now I'm going, whenever I want more pigment on my skin, I'm doing windshield wiper motions, and when I want it a little bit more diffused, then I'm going to do circles. So now I'm going to go in with a little bit more of a warmer color right there, and I'm also going to blend it in with the cool, and that's going to be it. It's lots of blending. So again, I'm just going to tap that on the outer parts to kind of darken that area. And then I'm just going to build that up in the crease just a little bit so we have a little bit more definition. Okay, so now whatever's left on my brush, I'm going to bring gently on my lower lash line. It's always good to just take a step back and think, do I need anything else before I kind of finish this look? I'm going to just kind of diffuse it. It's also good to relax your face, because a lot of the time when we do our eye makeup, we do our surprised eyebrows, and then when we relax our face, it's like, wait, where did my eyeshadow go? And maybe this is the point where you want to add a little shimmer or a little sparkle right there, but I'm feeling pretty good, especially again because the lips are the main event of the show. So now I'm going to go in with a Bobbi Brown gel liner with the same brush that I did my eyebrows in, but I've already wiped it clean. And we're going to start again in the outer corner. I'm going to follow my lower lash line, just to get a little kitten flick. And I'm just going to do little dashes that will connect to each other. Don't ever try to line your whole eye all at once. It's not going to work, even if you're doing a liquid liner. Especially if you're doing a liquid liner. And then I'm just going to soften the edges a little bit by kind of pulling on that very, very gently. I have quite a bit of lid space, so I can make my line a little bit bigger. If you have very minimal lid space, then play around with the thickness of your eyeliner, but you probably want to go a little bit thin because you definitely want to be able to see your lid when your eye is open and relaxed. And now I'm just going to make this flick a little bit more pronounced. The nice thing about using a brush is that instead of like a liquid liner, you can play with all angles of the brush. Sometimes I'm using the full force of the brush, like when I'm doing the line across the lid, and sometimes I'm just using the very tip. So don't be afraid to use your brush in different ways, or your brushes in different ways. It's amazing the kind of detail you can get from just a few brushes. Or rather from the same brush. This is Caviar Ink, so it's one step lighter than black. You always want to go darker than your eye color. But I had a boss, a makeup boss, who once said that black is for nighttime, and for daytime you should really try to do something else. So, you might feel like even Caviar Ink is a little bit too much. Maybe you work in an office, maybe it just feels like it's a little va-va-voom for you. So then you can always go in with a pencil brush, go back into your colors, and put those right on top. So I'm going to take the same dark cool brown and I'm going to mix it with this reddy brown, and I'm going to put that on top just to soften that look a little bit. I'm not really putting it into my lash line. I'm more just really gently laying that right on top of the line. Just to kind of soften it. I don't really wear lashes unless we're doing a special family photo shoot, or if I'm doing like something really artsy, or like a major beauty look. That's just my style. So I like to use a primer. I do have the Lancome lash primer, which I haven't tried yet, so I will report back about that. And then I'm going to go in with a Smokey Eye Mascara by Bobbi Brown, which is truly the only mascara I've ever been able to find that doesn't melt on my face. It is a drier mascara, which definitely helps. So if you are someone who moves your face quite a bit when you speak and you end up with black underneath your eyes, it could be your skincare. It could definitely be your skincare. Maybe it's too oily. Maybe you just use too much. But maybe you also need a drier mascara. And this is my favorite that I've ever found. I do like others, but this is the only one that doesn't seem to fall on my face. However, you really need to make sure that you have a good makeup remover because this does stick. It's not waterproof, but it's pretty close. It is pretty close. And I've definitely cried in this mascara and it has stayed on, so I don't know. It's amazing. It is amazing. Alright, we are going to powder and then we are done. So I'm using a really fluffy brush, my fluffy brush from BK Beauty, the bronzer brush, I believe it's called. And I'm going to switch back to my smaller one for underneath the eyes. I don't want to look sweaty. It's hot where I live right now, so I'll probably get a little dewy later. And that is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed this beauty tutorial. This is just like a very basic how to do your makeup and how to emphasize the lips especially. Anytime you're doing your makeup, pick one thing to emphasize and your look will just come together. So thank you so much for watching. Again, all the information is going to be linked below, and I hope to see you very soon for some more beauty tips and tricks. Bye!